Hi, I'm Rudy, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at ZEPETO. And today, I want to talk about something that I think most of us are pretty passionate about. First, this is Gangnam, an area of Seoul that is popularized by the K-pop star Psy's hit single Gangnam Style. Now, as is the case with any bustling downtown area, there are Korean mafias in Gangnam. And one of my acquaintances was the landlord of a property that was home to several members of the mafia. And he was saying to me one day that when he went to check in on his property, he found dozens of computers in that home. And I asked him what they were doing with all those computers. Were they mining Bitcoins? And he said, no, they were playing Lineage. Now, for some of you who aren't familiar with Lineage, it is one of Korea's highest grossing gaming franchises of all time. It is a medieval fantasy MMORPG, and these mafia members were spending all their free time trying to become castle lords in this game. Because as a castle lord, you become someone that contributes to the ecosystem or the economy of the game, and you can earn massive financial rewards. This was in stark contrast to the real life role that they had, which was not really a role that was contributing positively to Korea's ecosystem or economy. So they were spending their time trying to become someone in this alternate reality that was unlike what they were in the physical reality, a contributor, a creator. And I think Ready Player One is a pretty great example of a kind of a vision for the metaverse. I won't get into all the intricacies here, but I do want to point out one element that Ready Player One highlights, and that is incentivization, which I think is true stands true as a fundamental element for any aspiring metaverse project. Even when you think about Web2 apps like Instagram or TikTok, influencers are more willing to create and spend time on the app if there are stronger financial incentives. There's only 24 hours in a day, so to spend more time in some app is to spend less time in another aspect of your life. And one of the best ways for that time spent to be justified is through money. And the fact that we only have 24 hours in a day, or the fact that we all die eventually, is a really crucial part of the metaverse. Ever since civilizations were established and history was recorded, we've always been cognizant of death, which is why we have thought about alternate realities, whether in the form of afterlife, aliens, or gods. And because we've been so aware of death, we've always strived to increase time efficiency through telephones, personal computers, automobiles, and Twitter. So I think the metaverse is a reflection of these tendencies about alternate realities and efficiencies. Technology like AR and VR can advance virtual fashion dramatically, increasing its market share of the overall fashion industry relative to physical fashion. And purchasing and wearing virtual clothing is much more time efficient than the physical alternative. Not to mention more ESG oriented. So areas like virtual fashion are one of the sample areas where the metaverse creator economy will further expand in. And that's why we built ZEPETO. I have to admit, we didn't have too much of a grand long-term game plan at first. It was a simple thought experiment. At the time, there were a lot of boxy avatar projects with fashion options that weren't slick or streamlined. And we wondered what would happen if we introduced a different aesthetic in the avatar space. So we launched about 3 years ago as an avatar customization app. And when we first launched, we became very viral because we had 1 out of every 2 or 3 teenagers or 20-somethings on WeChat, Line Messenger, or KakaoTalk using their ZEPETO avatars as their profile pictures. And by month 4, we were getting 8-9 million organic downloads per month without having spent a single dollar on paid marketing. And we didn't spend paid marketing money until well over about 18 months or so after our launch. And instead of spending money on paid marketing, what we did was we bulk up our features. We added more social networking elements, how to create posts, the ability to have a social feed, things that could allow creators to better show off their custom avatar looks and create memes. And we also then created a 3D world that allowed users to show off their custom avatar looks in a 3D setting and also meet and interact with other users and creators. And in a little over 3 years, this approach has allowed us to attract over 320 million lifetime users, while our users have transacted more than 2.5 billion virtual fashion items, making ZEPETO one of the largest metaverse fashion markets in the world. In fact, every day, there are over 3 million transactions of 3D fashion items that take place on ZEPETO. And of course, that is constantly sustained and increased by the editor tool that we offer to creators. We empower skilled 3D designers who are well-versed in tools like Maya to freely create and publish original, unique virtual fashion items. But we also enable people without any 3D design skills to create their own items by leveraging the many templates that we offer. And one of the most rewarding things that are part of our lives at ZEPETO are the actual success stories we see from creators. Here's one of our creators who goes by the name Lenji. She had aspired to work in the fashion industry, but was stunted by various factors that exist in the real world, schooling, previous background, relationships, connections, etc. But when she found ZEPETO, she decided she would go all in. And within 2 years, she has grown into someone that makes well over 6 figures in a year from her virtual fashion brand, and now has established real world fashion brands contacting her and approaching her to do collaborations and activations together. And Lenji is not alone. In the first year after we launched our virtual fashion editor tool so that anyone could create their own virtual fashion brand and metaverse fashion items, we experienced a 10x growth in registered creators. And now we've surpassed 2 million registered creators who are publishing and creating their very own virtual fashion items. We think this is a testament to the time-efficient incentivization methodology we've established in our creator economy. This has global appeal, as our top markets look something like Indonesia, Thailand, US, Brazil, Japan, China, Korea, Philippines, France, Vietnam, and more. And that global appeal to creators and their followers is what has sent more than 200 global brands, ranging from Starbucks and Samsung to Disney and Nike, to partner with us. Based on hard metrics, we are the largest metaverse platform operator headquartered in Asia, and many of our partners have sought to work with us, particularly more when trying to enter the APAC region, which accounts for roughly 2/3 of our user base. And yet, it is not just virtual fashion designers that make a living off of ZEPETO. We have people who studied interior design, or just brilliant teenagers who are working as virtual architects on ZEPETO. These people are commissioned by various brands to build virtual buildings and worlds, and they also make 5 or 6 figures of annual income. We also have virtual singers or singer-songwriters who are busking every night in different time zones on ZEPETO. They build up a fan base that follows them to different worlds where they perform. And that's not something we ever planned, but the subculture came about quite organically a couple years ago. And we think this is not so different from the mafia trying to become castle lords. It's a simple human instinct to try to become something new, or to try to get rid of our physical constraints in doing what we want. And we already see so many forms of this in the likes of Lil Miquela or KDA. And we even had K-pop band Blackpink perform virtual fan meetings in ZEPETO, while Selena Gomez also had an activation on ZEPETO. New talents and old both see the metaverse as the next frontier for their own creator economies. And we will continue to see this expand across more industries. And I want to close with a souvenir. This is The Arrival of a Train, which was a film produced by the Lumiere brothers in the late 19th century. And of course, many people here, it's the first time they're ever seeing a film, and they think the train coming towards them is real, so they jump out of their seats. And what's interesting to note is that the film and TV industry, which advanced tech-driven content, grew. As they grew, we consumed a lot of content that we accepted as separate from our lives. We'd watch Emily in Paris, Squid Game, or James Bond and think, that's amazing, but we would accept that we are engaging something that is not really a part of our lives, IRL. But now with various metaverse applications and platforms, which are also advancing tech-driven content, what we are engaging is actually very much shaping our IRL finances, identity, and social interactions. There is a kind of a merger that is slowly happening between this alternate reality and what we accept to be quote unquote real. I mean, in time, we won't even call it alternate, just as no one really says online dating and, you don't really care, you just swipe left or right. It's all the same. And I think that's kind of an analogy for the kind of path that we're treading on now. Anyway, it's quite exciting to see this kind of a merger progress. And I'm very much looking forward to how we as a race will ultimately adapt to that merger. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy, for that awesome presentation. Next, we will have 1 second. Minhyun Kim of AI Network presenting.